Jacob didn't waste time. He rolled up his sleeves, placed a flashlight in his mouth, and leaned over Thaline's arm. The scanner implant was still blinking faintly under her skins, beneath her wrist. The tiny metal tag was what the slavers used to track her. It sent a signal every hour, alerting them if their property moved, stopped, or died. "I'll go slow," Jacob said, holding a sterilized blade. Thaline looked away and clenched her jaw. "Just do it." A quick cut. Her sharp breath, blood. But she didn't scream. Instead, she gripped the blanket tightly and focused on the ceiling. Her violet skin turned pale as he pulled out the tiny black chip using tweezers. Jacob dropped it into a tin and smashed it with a hammer. "Gone," he said. Thaline didn't respond. Her eyes were wide with pain, tears streaming silently. He wrapped her wrist and gave her a moment to breathe. Then the alarm blared. Beep dash beep dash beep. The motion sensor on the outer range flared red. "Visitors," Jacob muttered. "Two life forms, fast-armed." Thaline sat up quickly. "They found us." Jacob grabbed his rifle and peered through the peephole. Two shadowy figures were walking toward the shelter, scanning the ground with a glowing device. "They're bounty hunters," Thaline whispered. "Not slavers. Worse." Jacob looked at her. "You sure?" She nodded. "Slavers sell. Bounty hunters kill." Jacob gritted his teeth. "Then we don't answer the door." He reached up and turned a valve on the wall. The lights dimmed. The outside looked like no one was home, but the hunters kept coming. One of them stopped near the air vent and sniffed. Jacob whispered, "Can they smell you?" "They're wraithborn," she whispered back. "They can smell fear and blood." Jacob lowered his voice. "Then let's give them something else." He reached under the floor and opened a secret hatch. "Get in." Thaline hesitated. "Now?" She climbed in without argument. Jacob shut the panel and scattered old tools over it, hiding the line. Then he walked to the door and cracked it open just a little. Two aliens stood there, one tall and snake-like, with scales over his shoulders. The other, short but muscular, with metal plates over his arms. "You're trespassing," Jacob said coldly. The short one leaned forward. "You picked up something that doesn't belong to you." "I pick up scrap. Nothing more." The tall one hissed. "We tracked her to this sector. Her signal vanished here. If you hand her over, we'll leave." Jacob shrugged. "Haven't seen any alien girls?" "You're wasting time." The snake man grinned. "Mind if we search?" "I do mind," Jacob said. "This is private property." There was a long pause. Then the shorter alien raised his weapon slightly. "You sure you want to make this hard?" Jacob leaned closer and whispered, "I've got a mining gun pointed right at your face, hidden in the vent. You'll both be vapor before you blink." The aliens froze. Jacob grinned. "Now back off, or you'll need a new face." It's a silent standoff. Then the two bounty hunters turned and began walking away. But Jacob knew they weren't gone. Not for real. He closed the door, locked it tight, went straight to the hatch. Thaline crawled out, her body still shaking. "They'll come back," he said, "maybe with more." Thaline lowered her head. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring danger." Jacob looked at her. "Not your fault. They chose to hunt you. That's on them." She looked up. "Why are you risking your life for me?" He paused, then he spoke softly. "Because the people who hunted my sister, they got away. I couldn't save her, but I can save you." Her eyes filled with tears. "I won't let them take you," he said. "But I need to know, why are they after you?" Thaline was silent for a long moment. Then she whispered, "Because I'm the last one. The last of my royal line." Jacob blinked. "Royal? My mother was queen of a dying world." She tried to protect me, but they betrayed her, sold me off. If I survive, I'm a threat to the ones who stole the crown." Jacob leaned back. "So if they kill you, no one can challenge the throne." She nodded. "And they don't want a trial. They want me dead quietly." He exhaled. "This just got bigger than I thought." "You can leave," she whispered. "I'll understand." Jacob shook his head. "You're not going anywhere alone. You're safe here, with me." Outside, the wind howled louder, but inside, for the first time, the lean felt something stronger than fear. Hope *night came quickly. On the desert world, the shelter's metal walls groaned softly as cold wind replaced the burning heat of the day. Outside, the sandstorm had calmed, but danger still lurked in the darkness beyond. Inside, the tiny heater hummed, spreading weak warmth through the cramped space. Jacob sat beside the heater, oiling his rifle. His eyes were half closed, but his ears stayed sharp. He didn't trust the silence outside. Bounty hunters didn't give up that easily. Behind him, the lean was quiet. She hadn't spoken much since she told him the truth that she was royal, and the last of her kind. She sat on the cot, the blanket wrapped around her small body. Her violet skin glowed faintly under the dim lights. Her silver hair was messy, but her eyes were awake, watching him. "Why are you still here?" she asked softly. Jacob didn't look up. "'Cause you're still breathing. I mean it," she whispered. "You could have handed me over, sold me, or just walked away." Jacob set the rifle down and turned to face her. "I told you. I don't leave people behind." She lowered her gaze. "You're the only one who ever said that to me." Jacob stood and poured hot water into 2 cups. He handed one to her. She took it carefully, warming her fingers. "I was trained never to trust humans," Thaleen said. "They told us you're dangerous, violent, cold. And what do you think now?" he asked. She sipped her drink slowly. "You're warm," she said. "But it scares me." Jacob raised an eyebrow. "Warm scares you?" "Yes," she nodded. "Because warmth means hope. And every time I hoped before, it got taken away." Jacob didn't speak. He understood that too well. He sat down across from her on the edge of the old supply crate and looked her in the eye. "I've lost people too," he said. "Family. Friends. I used to believe the world was cruel and maybe it is, but I still choose to be human. And for me, that means helping others, even when it hurts." Kayleen's lips trembled. "You're strange, Jacob," he chuckled. "You're not the first to say that." A small smile crept onto her face. It was soft, honest. It made something in Jacob's chest tighten. He looked away. She noticed. "What's wrong?" she asked. He hesitated, then lifted his shirt slightly. There, across his ribs, was a deep bruise turning darker by the hour. "Your ribs, what happened?" she gasped. "I didn't tell you," he said quietly. "When I carried you through the storm, one of those sand cyclers slammed into me. I didn't feel it much then, but it's gotten worse." She moved toward him, panic rising. "You've been hiding it?" "Didn't want you to worry," he shrugged. "But you're hurt." "I'll live," he said, forcing a grin. "No," she said firmly. "Lie back. Let me see." Jacob blinked, surprised by her sudden tone. She took the cup from his hand and set it down. "I'm not useless," she whispered. "I know healing techniques. Let me try." Reluctantly, he lay down on the cot. She knelt beside him, fingers brushing the bruise. He winced. "Sorry," she whispered, eyes full of guilt. This is because of me." "No," Jacob said. "It's because I ran toward someone crying for help. I don't regret that." Her fingers glowed faintly, now soft blue light covering the bruise. It pulsed gently. He watched her in silence. Her hands moved slowly, focused. "Careful. You don't have to carry me alone," she said quietly. "Let me carry you sometimes too." Jacob swallowed hard. No one had ever said that to him before. When she finished, he sat up and breathed easier. "Better?" He nodded. She reached for the blanket, but stopped. The heater flickered, struggling against the cold. "You'll freeze," she said. "The generator's losing power." "I've had worse nights," Jacob said, walking to the battery panel. "But..." Thaleen stood in his way. "Jacob." He looked at her. "If we share the cot and the blanket," she said slowly, nervously, "our body heat will keep us both alive." Jacob raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" She nodded. "It's survival, nothing more." But her cheeks were flushed, and her eyes, those deep purple eyes, held something more than survival. He nodded. They lay down carefully, her back against his chest. The blanket covered them both. The warmth was immediate. His arms stayed at his sides, careful not to cross any lines. But she slowly reached back and grabbed his hand. "Thank you," she whispered, "for being human." When the galaxy forgot what that meant, Jacob didn't reply. He just held her, hand tighter as the wind outside screamed down to fugitives. One human and one alien shared a fragile peace in the cold night. The next morning, the wind had stopped, but the silence felt heavy. Jacob stood outside the shelter, goggles over his eyes, scanning the horizon. No movement, no bounty hunters in sight. The storm had buried all tracks. Good dot inside, Thaleen sat. At the table, holding something small and metallic, an old royal beacon, no bigger than a coin. It had once been her way home. Now, it was useless. "I found this in my boot," she said when Jacob stepped back in. "I had hidden it years ago, but it's broken." Jacob took it gently, inspecting the cracked crystal core. "Power cells dead." She nodded. "If I could repair it, I could call for help. The royal fleet has old protocols," they'd answer. "You sure they'd still come for you?" Jacob asked. After all this time, she didn't answer right away. "Then, if they don't, I die anyway. But I want to try." Jacob walked to the far corner of the shelter, where his own gear lay, an old transmitter, barely held together with duct tape and prayers. It was the only tech he had left, his last line of contact with the outside. And now, T looked at it, then looked back at her beacon. He knew what he had to do. Without a word, he knelt and began to take his transmitter apart. Thaleen blinked. "Jacob, what are you doing?" "Giving you a chance," he said. "This thing's barely working anyway. But if you break it," she paused, realizing it, "you won't be able to call for help. You're giving up your only way out." Jacob kept working. "I told you, I fix what I can. And right now, this is more important." Thaleen stood slowly, walked to him, and knelt beside him. Her voice was trembling. "You're giving everything to someone you just met." Jacob glanced at her. "Do." "Weren't just someone, you were crying for help. That makes you mine to protect." Her eyes filled again. She hated crying, but she didn't stop this time. An hour passed. Jacob carefully rewired the beacon's heart, using parts from his transmitter. The moment of truth came as he inserted a fresh power cell and pressed the switch. Nothing then. A faint ping, it pulsed. Thalen gasped. "It's working." Jacob nodded. "It's sending a signal. Short range, but if someone's listening, they'll hear. But how long until they come? Could be hours. Could be days," he said. "We wait." Thaleen sat back, looking at the tiny device. It was a light in the darkness, but not all light brings hope. That evening, the shelter sensors beeped again. Jacob rushed to the monitor. A chip small, fast, Not a fleet vessel could be your people, he said. Thaleen checked the screen. Her eyes narrowed. No, it's them. The bounty hunters. She nodded. They must have traced the pulse. Jacob cursed. We need to run. But Thaleen grabbed his arm. Wait, I have an idea. 10 minutes later, the ship landed a few hundred meters from the shelter. 2 bounty hunters stepped out, armed and armored. They approached cautiously. Inside the shelter, the beacon sat on the table. Linking the door was slightly ajar. One bounty hunter kicked it open and found the room empty, except for the beacon. He grinned. There it is. The moment he stepped forward, click. Jacob's trap triggered. The door slammed shut and gas hissed into the room. Thick sleeping gas outside. From behind rocks, Jacob watched through binoculars. They'll be out cold in a minute, he said. Thalen was beside him. You think of everything. I lived in a war zone once, Jacob said. Its traps kept me alive. A few minutes passed. Then Jacob moved in. He tied both bounty hunters, removed their weapons, and dragged them out. Thaleen helped him drag their unconscious bodies behind the ridge. What now? She asked. We take their ship. Her eyes widened. We can fly. Jacob nodded. Barely, but I've piloted worse. Together, they stepped aboard the bounty ship. It was cramped and smelled like old armor polish, but it worked. The system was active, and the beacon signal had already synced with a nearby relay. Thalen sat in the co-pilot seat and looked at him. We just left everything behind. Jacob looked back. Everything worth saving is still with me. Thaleen smiled, then slowly reached out and placed her hand over his dot. Not a word more. Just warmth, asterisk. The stars stretched across the sky like rivers of light. The bounty ship drifted quietly above the planets. Upper atmosphere. Jacob sat at the controls, one hand steady on the flight stick. Eyes scanning the long-range scanner. Thaleen sat beside him, silent, her violet eyes staring at the stars. Her fingers nervously traced the edge of the beacon, now attached to the dashboard and pulsing slowly. Still nothing, Jacob said. No fleet, no signal back. They should have answered by now, she whispered. They might be cautious. Or they might not care anymore, she said bitterly. I'm a forgotten name. Jacob turned to her. Then I'll remember it. She looked at him. That human, that strange, stubborn, selfless man. The one who never asked for anything. Before she could reply, the screen blinked red. Incoming signal unmarked VSSRL. Jacob leaned forward. Another ship, smaller, fast approach. Thaleen stiffened. Scan it, he tapped the screen. No clear date, no faction ID, no royal tag, but the energy signature was strong. Then a second signal appeared. Incoming signal, Royal Fleet Protocol 7. Her eyes widened. That's it. That's them. 2 ships, Jacob said. One's yours. The other, her stomach turned. They followed the beacon too. Outside the window, 2 ships came into view. One was long, silver, and sleek royal. The other, black and sharp dash hunters. Jacob stood up, heading to the rear storage. What are you doing? She asked. Getting ready for anything. Minutes later, the bounty ship was caught between the 2 vessels. The royal ship sent a transmission first. A female voice echoed in the cabin. This is Commander Elvera of the Ellerin Royal Guard. Identify yourself, beacon source. Thaleen stepped forward and pressed the button. This is Thaleen Valsera, she said firmly, daughter of Queen Alanya. Last of the royal line. Silence. Then a second voice, cold metallic, cut in from the hunter ship. The girl is a false heir. Surrender her immediately for royal security. Jacob frowned. They're posing as royal agents. Thelene slammed her fist on the console. They did this before. This is how they betrayed my mother. Let me speak, Jacob said, grabbing the mic. This is Jacob Rourke, human civilian. I've been protecting Thelene since I found her dying in the sands. If you're real Royal Guard Jewel, prove it. Send a verification code now. The royal ship went quiet, Jacob whispered. They either do it, or we fight. Moments passed. Then Code 9XE Alpha, the voice said. Long live the crown, Thelene exhaled. That's real. That's the right code. Jacob nodded. Then it's time to make a choice. He looked at her. You stay on this ship. I'll lead them away. What? I'll bait the fakes. They want a body. They'll think I'm carrying you. No, Jacob? No. You're not doing this. He stepped forward. I won't let them take you. You're the future of your people. And you're the reason I'm still alive, she shouted. I won't lose you now. Jacob placed his hand over hers. You said once. No one stayed. Let me be the one who did. Tears welled in her eyes. You'll die. He smiled. Maybe, but not without a fight. She leaned in and pressed her forehead to his. Promise me you'll come back. He didn't promise. Instead, he kissed her forehead softly. Then he walked out. The fake royal ship opened its ramp. A figure stepped down armored, helmeted, tall, weapon drawn. Jacob exited the bounty ship alone, holding a small container. I've got what you want, he said loudly. The fake agent paused. You're not Ellerin. No, Jacob said. I'm the human who saved her. The agent raised his weapon. Jacob dropped the container and drew his blaster. Shots fired, smoke, chaos from above. The true royal ship descended, weapons aimed and ready. Stand down, Elvira's voice roared. The fake ship turned to flee, but the royal ship opened fire, disabling its engines. In the chaos, Thelene ran out of the bounty ship. Jacob. She saw him lying on the ground, blaster scorched, blood staining his chest. She dropped beside him. Jacob, no, stay with me, stay. He smiled weakly. Told you, I'd protect you. Her tears fell like rain on his face. You did. You did. The real guards surrounded them, weapons drawn at the fake crew. Commander Elvira stepped forward, her eyes locking on Thelene. My lady, she said, kneeling. We came as fast as we could. Thelene looked up. Help him first. A tease. Not royal. He's mine. The commander blinked, then gave the order. Medic, now. Jacob's body was cold. His pulse was weak. His chest barely moved. The medics hovered over him inside the royal ship, rushing to stop the bleeding from the blaster wound. The energy blast had hit just below his ribs, too close to his heart. Thelene stood nearby, her fists clenched and her eyes locked on him. She refused to sit. She refused to leave. He's not dead, she whispered. He can't be. One of the medics turned. We've stabilized him, but he's in a coma. The damage was severe. Thelene stepped forward. Then keep him alive. Whatever it takes, use my blood. Use royal tech. Just don't let him die. The medic nodded and returned to work. She stayed there until morning. 3 days later, the royal fleet had returned to orbit around Ilaria Prime. News of the lost heir's survival spread like wildfire. The high courts buzzed with talk. A royal daughter had returned. The throne had a rightful voice again, but none of it mattered. To Thelene, she sat beside Jacob's bed inside a golden chamber in the palace medical wing. He hadn't opened his eyes. Machines beeped softly beside him. His chest rose and fell with the help of alien life support. She held his hand every hour. Sometimes she whispered stories. Sometimes she sat in silence. No guards, no advisors. No crowds, Just her and him. I never thought someone like you would come for someone like me, she said quietly one night. But you walked into the fire when I was already ash, and somehow you made me feel alive. A single tear slid down her cheek. I need you to wake up now, she whispered. You said you wouldn't leave, so don't. That evening, a knock came at the door. Commander Elvera stepped inside, head bowed. My lady, the council awaits your coronation. They've prepared the royal chamber. Thaleen stood slowly. Hand lingered on Jacob's. Will you watch him for me? Elvera bowed. Of course. Thaleen left the room, walking through shining halls lined with banners of her bloodline. Servants bowed. Officials smiled. But her heart was elsewhere. In the grand hall, she stood before the high circle. Lights dimmed. A golden crown was placed upon her head. Trumpets played softly in the distance. But when the royal speaker asked for her first decree, Thaleen did something no ruler had done before. I name a human, she said, voice strong, protector of the crown. Murmurs spread across the chamber. She raised her hand. He saved the heir of Ilaria. He gave his life for no reward. He asked for nothing, and yet he gave me everything. A hologram of Jacob's face lit up behind her. The first statue in the new royal garden, she declared, will be of Jacob Rourke, the man who answered a cry no one else heard. 1 week later, the sun shone gently over the royal gardens. The statue stood tall Jacob in worn clothes, holding a cloak. In one hand, eyes looking forward as if towards someone he was about to protect. Crowds gathered to pay respect. The royal court bowed before the statue. Even warriors from distant planets had come to see the human who had changed a kingdom. But one person came alone. After sunset, Thaleen knelt before the statue, her hand pressed to its base. They call you a hero, she whispered. But you were just a two. Behind her, soft footsteps approached. Thaleen. Her eyes widened. She turned. Jacob stood there weak, pale, but alive. Bandages around his ribs. A slight limp, but his eyes still held that same warmth. She ran to him and wrapped her arms around him, tears streaming freely. You're awake, she sobbed. You stubborn, reckless, beautiful fool. He chuckled weakly. Wasn't planning to die just yet. She pulled back slightly and looked into his eyes. Do you know what I did? No, he said. But, judging by the crown, something big. She grinned. I named you protector of the crown. He blinked. What does that even mean? She leaned in closer, brushing her forehead against his. It means you're never leaving me again. Jacob smiled. Well then, I guess I'm royalty now. Months later, they stood together on the royal balcony. The sky above was peaceful. The people below were free. No chains, no fear, and standing beside the last princess was the one human who had changed everything. Not with power, not with weapons, but by answering a cry, by staying when no one else would, and by showing the galaxy what it truly meant to be human.